on. Good to have everybody here. Meeting of the Sacramento Housing Authority will please come to order. Would the clerk please call the roll to establish a quorum?
Thank you. Councilmember Ashby?
Here.
Councilmember Warren?
Here.
Councilmember Harris?
Here.
Councilmember Hanson?
Here.
Councilmember Chenier?
Here.
Councilmember Guetta?
Here.
Councilmember Jennings?
Here.
Councilmember Carr?
Here.
And Mayor Steinberg.
I am here. Good afternoon to everybody and to members of the public. This is a meeting of our housing authority, and as you all know, but just to remind the public, the housing authority is a separate body from the city council, made up of the mayor and the city council under our city charter and the relevant ordinances. And so we meet often concurrently as a city council and members of the housing authority, but at the end of last year, we decided to sort of formally separate them. The main reason is that we want to make sure that we give special focus and attention to our housing issues in Sacramento, and that this would be one way to make sure that these issues get full council attention. And so we have a number of items on the agenda this afternoon. Are there any questions about the consent calendar? If not, is there a motion on the consent calendar?
I'll move consent, Mayor.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. All right. Please call the roll on the consent calendar.
Councilmember Ashby?
Yes.
Councilmember Warren?
Yes.
Councilmember Harris?
Aye.
Councilmember Hanson?
Aye.
Councilmember Chenier?
Aye.
Councilmember Guetta?
Aye.
Councilmember Jennings?
Yes.
Councilmember Carr?
Aye.
And Mayor Steinberg.
Aye. All right, the consent calendar is passed. Thank you very, very much. We now have two public hearings and one discussion item. Let's begin with item 4, which is the Marisol Village action item and approval of a final bond. Michelle Dozier, our executive director, turn it over to you.
All right, we're going to have Christine Weichert is going to present that item. Christine?
Thank you. So good afternoon. Council previously approved an $8 million CNI loan commitment and issuance of mortgage revenue bonds for the development of Marisol Village's blocks B and E. As a reminder, these two phases of Marisol include about 123 units. The report before you is approval of the re-TEFRA, the loan and bond documents. The closing is scheduled for late May and construction will begin shortly thereafter. And with that, we can answer any questions you may have.
So what is the import of this action? What does it mean?
It means that we're at the very final stages of the first phase of Marisol to actually go vertical to be constructed. So in June, we'll see 123 units being built out there.
Terrific. Congratulations. And good work. Questions from the members? Okay.
Yeah, this is Councilman Warren. I had a question just to SHRA, and that's regarding the rates, relative to the pro forma that you had initially and where interest rates are today. Are there any significant implications?
There aren't too many, there's not too much of a difference between then and now. Right now, the bond and the loan markets still seem pretty strong for new construction for Marisol Village. So we're fortunate but there's no other issues.
Okay, so yeah, I thought maybe rates might have come down like everything else, so, but you're saying that's not the case?
Not significantly so, no, Councilmember.
Okay, all right.
Okay, any other questions? Jeff Harris is mouthing the words, but not being heard.
Okay, I'll try it this way. I'd like to open the public hearing, close the public hearing, and move the staff recommendation.
Second,
Good, there's a second on that. All right, and we have no public testimony, Mindy, on either this or any items on the consent calendar.
That is correct.
That'd be good. All right, let's call the roll on this important development.
Member Ashby,
Yes.
Member Warren,
yes?
Member Harris,
Aye.
Member Hanson,
Aye.
Member Chenier,
Aye.
Member Guerra,
Aye.
Member Jennings,
Aye.
Member Carr,
Aye.
and Mayor Steinberg.
Aye. All right, another unanimous vote. Let's go to number 5, which relates to the federal stimulus, one of the federal stimulus packages. Again, Ms. Dozier or Ms. Weichert, who's presenting on this?
Celia is going to be presenting.
Roselia, hi, nice to see you.
All right, good afternoon. So as you are all aware, on March 27th, 2020, the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security, the CARES Act, was approved to respond to the growing effects of the historic COVID-19 public health crisis. As part of that stimulus, several entitlements were received by the city, including approximately $2.8 million in Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, $1.4 million of the Emergency Solutions Grant, or ESG, and $218,000 of Housing Opportunities for Persons with AIDS funding. The CARES Act also authorized the Secretary for HUD to grant waivers and alternative requirements related to the use of these funds. I point these out because there are several which are relevant for this discussion today. Included, the first one is reducing the required public comment period from 30 days to 5 days for the Consolidated Plan Amendment and the Action Plan amendments. Additionally, they also allowed the option for virtual hearings versus in-person hearings. Another waiver is exception is for the suspension of the 15% cap on the funding for public services for the Community Development Block Grant program. And then for the Emergency Solutions Grant, they've exempted the dollar for dollar match requirement for that program as well. So these are all key as we move forward with this spending plan. It's important to note that these activities still must meet eligibility for the programs as well as the national objective requirements. SHRA did apply for these waivers on a program. The COVID homeless response team was established, and as you know, it's a broader coalition of both city, county, and nonprofits to address the COVID-19 crisis. The in-depth presentation was made to the City Council on April 7th. Therefore, I'm not going to go into any depth, but just at a high level so that you're aware of what these the federal funds will be implementing. It's important to understand that the comprehensive operational funding utilizes the CDBG and ESG, as well as other state and local funds, and that the action that the City Council took on April 7th then provided the direction for SHRA to proceed with these actions required by HUD.
I think that feedback's coming from Lachelle. I don't know if you could mute, but sorry, there's a reverberation coming.
Sounds like somebody's grinding coffee or something. Okay.
There are three main components.
I think it was Lachelle. Okay, go ahead. Sally, we can't hear you now.
So Lachelle's mic needs to stay on unless SHRA staffs can turn their mic on. So it appears SHRA staff only has video. I'm going to unmute SHRA staff and I'm going to mute Lachelle. Probably worse. Let's mute SHRA staff and unmute Lachelle. How's that?
Lachelle, why don't you finish the presentation if you would, please? Sorry, Celia, you did a good job.
All right, that's okay.
The technology did you in.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
So at the very top. So there are three main areas that the funding is going to be used for. One, and that will include paying for supplies, contract administration, and all the federal funds will be used for that. The second area is isolation and quarantine of shelters. They will be expanding the existing shelters by 80 beds. This will also pay for the trailers that are at Cal Expo, and then motel rooms, anywhere from 800 to 850 motel rooms. And the third area is encampments. No federal funds will be used for that, but for that particular effort, we will be doing outreach, supplies, transportation, meals, and sanitation. In addition, there are currently 5 sub-recipients receiving HOPWA funding. SHRA will solicit input from those existing providers to determine the needs for their specific population and allocate HOPWA supplemental allocation funds to existing sub-recipients. So in closing, staff is requesting approval for the 2020 through 2024 consolidated plan to amend it and to add the new resources. And we're also requesting that the 2020 one-year action plan as detailed in Exhibit B be amended, and an amendment to the citizen participation plan is also proposed. The amendment includes updated language related to the CARES Act, Exhibit C, and allows for deviation from requirements in the event of a disaster and per issued waivers. And this constitutes the end of the public hearing. How did I do, Sally?
Very good. And so this is, we have already taken action, if you will, on how to use these resources, and the resources are being deployed as we speak for Operation Turnkey, the state and local program to bring homeless people into motel rooms, the trailer strategy, all of the other emergency homeless response strategies that we talked about and approved several weeks ago. This is just to essentially conform the overall multi-year plan to those actions and the receipt of those dollars, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, questions from members? All right, let's take a motion then, please. No public testimony?
I'll
That's
move
correct.
approval.
Will you
I'll
open up the
second.
hearing, please?
Open and close the hearing.
I'll open and close the public hearing and move the item. This is Councilmember Hanson.
I'll second it. Councilmember Jennings.
Okay, moved and seconded. Let's call the roll on the motion, please.
Member Ashby,
Yes.
Member Warren,
Yes.
Member Harris,
Aye.
Member Hanson,
Aye.
Member Chenier,
Aye.
Member Guerra,
Aye.
Member Jennings,
Aye.
Member Carr,
Aye.
and Mayor Steinberg.
Aye. Good, thank you very much. Let's move now to a discussion item to allow the director and the staff to just make an overall broader presentation on your other activities during the COVID-19 crisis. Who's presenting on this?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, so Latan Jones is going to do the presentation. He's our Director of Public Housing and give an update on the activities and our response to COVID-19.
Mr. Jones, welcome.
Great, thank you very much. Good evening.
You're good.
Okay, great.
Just speak right into the mic.
Okay, got a big voice, so I'll try to make sure I use it.
Okay, Mindy, he also has a PowerPoint, so he needs to share the screen. Latan, why don't you go ahead and they'll catch up with the PowerPoint.
Okay, great. Latan Jones, Director of Housing. Good afternoon, Mayor and members of the City Council. The Housing Authority of the City of Sacramento is working hard to make modifications to its programs in relation to the COVID-19 pandemic. We deem it very important and consistent with our mission to make modifications to our management operations that help sustain the health and safety for our residents, our employees, our vendors, and our community at large. Any change must always be consistent with government guidance as well as guidance from health officials. On March 13, 2020, President Trump declared the COVID-19 pandemic a national emergency. Since it was actually, we were notified of the virus in 2019, I believe in November, the virus has spread dramatically all over the entire world. In the world, we have about 2.5 million confirmed cases of COVID-19, as well as over 171,000 deaths. In the United States, we have over 800,000 confirmed cases of COVID-19, with over 44,000 deaths. In California, over 28,000, almost 29,000 cases of COVID-19 with just over 1,000 deaths. And then in Sacramento County, we have 940 cases with 34 deaths. I believe that all life is important, but this COVID-19 pandemic poses a unique threat to the health and safety of all of our low-income housing communities. And therefore, we must be very accurate and emphatic about coming up with a response in order to minimize the negative impacts that it would have upon our communities. That stated, we are making adjustments to our programs to adjust to the needs that are mandated during this time frame. In accordance with the governor's mandates, SHRA is an essential agency. That stated, we have established an approach where we have our staff that is working both remotely, some from home, as well as others that are actually working still in the offices. In terms of our communities still remain open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, and our maintenance staff are still performing and still responding to work orders 24 hours a day. However, we have actually limited the office buildings or the office visits to just visits where they would actually not be drop-in, but they would actually be scheduled. In addition to that, our maintenance staff, we are only sending our maintenance staff out to the units and for emergency work orders, things like leaks or overflowing toilets or sinks and things of that nature. Overall, we're also really employing a major process where we are really emphasizing social distancing in accordance with the CDC. As I indicated, we're limiting in-person interactions and meetings. We're allowing our residents to submit documents electronically, via mail, or using other medias that are out there. We're also doing what we normally would have done face-to-face visits. We're limiting those and we're doing those telephonically. And we're also using, implements like Zoom, which is what we're using right now. We're also posting signs because we really want to make sure that we're reminding our residents of the serious importance of social distancing. Those signs are limiting the amount of people that are in our elevators, in our laundry rooms, and otherwise. We're disinfecting our buildings. We're also doing wellness checks with our residents, reaching out to our residents, not trying to impose upon them, but making sure that they understand that we are there for them. We are also increasing our information, notices that we're sending out to the residents, giving them information about this whole COVID-19 virus, as well as giving them information, for instance, if we have positive cases, we're notifying those residents to make sure that they are aware of those cases, as well as our efforts in cleaning and disinfecting in order to assist them. We're also very excited, and thank you, Mayor, for the program where we're actually providing meals to over 960 residents. We have two programs, one through the Fresher Start Sacramento, and the other where we have a collaboration of several restaurants, premier restaurants that are providing meals to our residents. We've gotten a lot of great responses from our residents with regard to these meal programs. So thank you very much, the Mayor's Office, for that collaboration, working with us. And then we have policy updates. On April 10th, HUB published a number of regulatory reliefs under the CARES Act that allowed us flexibility in order to be able to interact with our residents more flexibly. We are joining with other agencies and jurisdictions around the country with regard to moratoriums on evictions. This is not a license not to pay your rent. However, we are not evicting residents as a result of which. And then we're also encouraging our residents to participate and utilize our Rent Cafe, which allows residents to pay their rent online. With that program, we are covering the cost for using that online rent paying device. And then finally, we're streamlining all of our processes for our residents who would need to have rent adjustments or because of income that has been reduced from their overall households. Overall, we're coming together. We're working with other entities, and we are really trying to just modify our operations so that we can adapt to these changing times. Thank you very much. I'm available for questions.
All right, are there questions? Thank you for your collaboration with my office on making sure that all the seniors in your in the public housing are getting fed. It's been a terrific success. I think the whole food issue has been one of the real standout parts of Sacramento's response to this crisis, and this SHRA partnership with our food bank and with our restaurateurs and the city has just been tremendous. So I say thank you for that.
Thank you.
What, any questions on this? I know I wanted to add one other thing under general updates, since we're talking about the Housing Authority's activities. I know it's, well, beyond your presentation, which was very good. Who wants to talk about this? Any questions?
I have my hand raised.
Oh, I'm sorry. And Alan Warren, I just got a note that Mindy came through to me. Alan Warren first and Councilman Carr. Okay.
Thank you. I wanted to, first of all, just say there is a lot of good work being done, and appreciate the redevelopment agency, Lachelle, and your leadership there. And, you know, I wanted to really get a specific update on the project that's targeted for District 2, which is the tiny home project at St. Paul Church, just to see where we are in terms of construction, what would be the next steps, and where are you in preparation for taking the next steps, Lachelle?
Okay, so as you recall, in our previous meeting, we put a pause on this per the council's direction, but we were directed to finish out the build out. So currently 18 sheds have been delivered, or should be by the end of today. All the ramps are completed by the end of next week. The hygiene trailers and the larger buildings will also be there within the next week or so. So the actual build out is still continuing, and we'll finish up within about a week and a half.
Okay, and then what would be the next steps for you there?
Then it's it's the council's direction to SHRA in terms of moving forward with our original plan in housing the transitional age youth, or if they want us to continue to wait.
Okay, and I know we had talked about coming back in 30 days. That was the mayor had made the recommendation, and I had concurred with that. And then there are a couple of council people that actually hear it in 2 weeks. And so I think this is the second week. So next week would be the third week. And I wanted to, are you saying to me that the construction will be completed next week, and then we would have empty units of housing and hygiene facilities there for people who could use them? We just don't have the, well, I mean, what wouldn't we have? Well, the operator has been identified. We would have everything except for what?
Well, the operator has been identified, but because we placed this on hold, he can't move forward with actually hiring and training his staff. So finish building out the site, then we will have 24/7 security to make sure that the site isn't vandalized or anything of that nature until we get the green light. And at that point, then the operator will start training of staff and moving the project forward. It'll probably take him at least a week or so because it's very difficult to hire someone until he knows exactly what the start date is.
Okay,
So-
and then I'd like to finish, please. Now tell me, Lachelle, how would this impact, or say some of these emancipated youth or young people either were COVID-19, or potential candidates because of how they're living for COVID-19? Would there be any different process, or what would be the implications there?
Well, we would obviously assess each and individual person to see exactly what their status was, but because of COVID-19, we are not doing double occupancy. So they would have the ability to be isolated within their own cabin. If they are couples, then we would put them together, but until the COVID-19 crisis is over, everyone would be in their own individual cabin.
So it's conceivable that some would be COVID-19 and then some would not be?
It is conceivable. Some may be symptomatic. If they have serious issues, then this would not be the right setting for them.
Okay. Well, I'd like to ask the city manager to agendize this item for next week for, action and or, discussion and action. I see it just being, at this point, having these units available, people living on the streets, and the crisis that we have, it would seem a travesty not to move this project along. And so I think at the very least, we should allow the council to take action, and then it's at the council's will. But this council has made a decision already about this project, and if they want to change, then I think formally we should take action next week. So I'm going to ask the city manager to agendize this project for next week.
Let me, before I turn it over to Councilmember Carr, I appreciate that. We did say 30 days from several weeks ago, and next week would be 3 weeks. But beyond that, I asked for a delay on this reluctantly, as you remember, not because I don't want to follow through on the project, but because the cost associated with the project is about $5.8 million. And given the fact that we are working with the county to try to move over 1,000 people potentially into 990 motels and trailers, and that we're going to have an obligation then to move them into permanent housing after their time in the motels is up, I wanted to at least consider what our plan, including its financing, might be to accomplish that goal. So in the past 2 weeks, obviously I haven't sat on my hands on this. I've been in daily conversation with Lachelle, with Emily Halkin, and our city team to begin developing a finance plan for this rapid rehousing, talking about more manufactured housing, potentially more cabin communities, more scattered site, so that we can actually follow through on making sure that people we bring in temporarily the same people, by the way, including transition age kids, can then be permanently housed somewhere in our community. The agency and I have agreed, because it's a lot of work that we're asking them to do, that they need until May the 5th, which is, I think, a week from, what is May the 5th? That is 2 weeks from today, to give a report back on what it's going to take to do that. It's at that point that we will be able to compare and contrast what is the highest and best use of these resources. The resources, of course, that I helped get for us, leading the Big 13 mayors last year through the legislature. So I think we need an extra week to give the agency the time to be able to make a recommendation to us, together with our economic development department, about how we take all the resources we have, all the things we've planned to do, all the new opportunities that we have to actually move people into housing permanently, and then match them up and see if we have enough money to be able to do it all. And I would like to do it all. So we need an extra week.
Well, my suggestion would be to hear it next week. And I mean, we have units available, or will be available very quickly, and without some alternative plan for those units, I just can't sit by idly and let them stay vacant when you got people sleeping on the street. I drive by people every day, coming into my office, and I see people laying on the sidewalks and corridors, people begging me. I had a homeless lady come to my office yesterday and beg me for housing, and just telling me the kinds of things that, rapes and different things that are taking place on the streets, and, people living hand to mouth. And we've spent $1 million. We spent $1 million on this. And I think we need to honor our vote of several months ago for this project, or decide we're not going to do it. I don't think we should just wait. And I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me. This action was taken. So, and I don't see this as a fight. I see this as the council's will. The council should make a decision. And if they decide they don't want to do it, then we got to figure out some alternative use for these cabins, because people are dying every day.
Thank
People-
you. I know how much you care.
People are catching this virus every day, and irrespective of if we got hotel rooms and all of that, that's great. But we got these units too in the city, and we cannot afford to be wasting money as a city. And the 5 million, and I'm hopeful that when we made the decision before, all of these same thoughts went into that decision. And we decided that that's what we were going to do. Now, if you're saying we're going to take that money away from a church and a pastor that opened up their home to these people, those people, just so you know, there are people sleeping on the church grounds right now and inside of the church that would otherwise be in these units. So, I mean, obviously it's the council's will. I'd like to hear this item come back next week. So
it will not be heard next week. It'll be heard on the 5th of May.
I think it's very vindictive of you as a mayor who champions homeless stuff to make this a personal issue.
It's not personal.
That's exactly what it is.
May the 5th.
You called me about this issue to talk about you being upset with the pastor, and it's a personal issue, and it shouldn't be. Shame on you, Mayor. Shame on you.
Thank you. Councilman Carr.
Whoa. Did you finish, Alan?
I got a lot more to say, Larry, but I'd prefer to say it in person.
Okay, I'm sure the process for getting items on the agenda, is this something that individual council member can bring forward? Does the mayor have veto authority? Do we get any say on what comes on the agenda?
The way that the city charter works for city council items is that the city manager and or the mayor can place an item on the agenda. we had that discussion last year during the budget, and that's what it works. For the Housing Authority, I'm not quite sure exactly how that works. I just to be clear, I want this item to be heard. I want it to be heard. I want the project to go forward if we have the money to do it and to be able to move potentially 1,000 people from motel rooms into permanent housing. It's just a matter of numbers here. I want to get as many people into permanent housing as we can. Nothing is personal with the pastor. In fact, the issue with the pastor is that we did approve the project. We focused the project on transition age youth. It's a worthy project. It's also an expensive project. In the meantime, COVID-19 hit. And so I just want to make sure that we responsibly understand what resources we have at our disposal to get as many people indoors as possible. I love the project. I just want to make sure that we can do it and we can get more people indoors at the same time. An extraordinary circumstance has confronted us. It's confronted us all as a city, as a state, as a country. And I just want to make sure before we go ahead spending a significant amount of our state HAP relief, that we understand what all of our obligations and opportunities are. Circumstances.
I understand what you're saying. I also understand what Councilmember Warren is saying. What I'm asking, though, is a different question. And I think what I heard you say is that only you and the city manager can put items on the agenda, and we as individual council members have no say in what items come before the council.
There has never been a time that I know of where a council member has requested something to be placed on agenda where it hasn't. We try to work it out time-wise. And all I'm saying is the difference between April 28th and May 5th is that the agency is coming back to us on May 5th with a report about how we might finance the rapid rehousing of all the people we're going to bring into motels and trailers. So it just fits better a week later rather than a week sooner. That's all I'm saying.
Believe me, I understand what you're saying. I hear you very well. What I'm asking is,
I don't know.
Can an individual council member put something on the agenda? And Councilmember Warren asked for that, and you have, sounds like you're vetoing it.
I'm happy to put it on the calendar on May the 5th, a week later. That's all I'm saying.
He's asking for next week. You're saying May 5th. What I'm saying is, do we as council members have any say in that?
We will have to look at the rules for the housing authority and try to work it out in a collegial way, which I'm willing to do.
Lachelle, can you help us with what the rules might be for the housing authority and whether or not individual members can bring an item forward to be considered or not?
Well, in the past, we haven't had any disagreements about items to be brought forward on the agenda. So I'm looking at our attorney, Brad. Hold on, Brad is the attorney who's coming forward.
But while he's looking at that, let me raise a couple of issues and we can get back to it. On the food delivery, I reviewed the apartment complexes that have been on the list to receive food for seniors. And I did not see any in District 8. I did not see any projects that are managed by SHRA that are all low or very low income. And I'm wondering if we got that, if we have that all together, what's going on with that?
Okay, as I understand it, what you're saying is you didn't see any of the additional complexes.
I didn't see Providence Place, I didn't see Whispering Pines, I didn't see any of the senior complexes. I didn't see anything in District 8, even though we have invested a considerable amount of money to establish Fresher Sacramento and to get that program up and running. I don't see any of that coming to the district. Are we in the process of correcting that, or are we not going to correct it, or is it too
Well-
much for, we don't have enough food, or what's the deal?
Well, we received the funding and the information from the mayor's office in terms of their capacity. And so we focused on only doing our seniors in public housing. So these were the buildings that we own and operate. The ones that you're referring to are ones that are multifamilies that we've helped to put some level of financing in, that are not necessarily all seniors. Some are, some aren't, but that's as far as the money went, I guess, is the bottom line.
And we're out of money at that point?
Yes, in fact, the one program with Fresher Sacramento ended last week. And so we just have the program now with the restaurants that are providing meals.
And we also provided a list of restaurants too. And the restaurants will be delivering only to those apartment complexes that are managed by SHRA, or will they be delivered to low-income seniors throughout the city?
They are delivering to the ones managed by SHRA. I would have to defer to the mayor's office to see if they're doing any deliveries outside of the ones within our public housing.
Mr. Mayor, can you answer that question?
We are involved in helping to organize and facilitate a number of different food drives. The program with the public housing complexes is one discrete program. The other program, for example, we're working but not taking the lead with the restaurateurs to develop a program to feed seniors throughout the entire city. In terms of, so I'm not sure what you're asking exactly.
Who will be getting delivered food in Sacramento? The program that we've had before delivered it only to the apartment complexes that were managed by SHRA. Is that going to change? And if so, how?
We are adding more units, including District 8, to a number of the programs, like I said, we stood up. The FEMA program, which has been organized by the governor, by the state, will allow a 75% reimbursement for all restaurateurs who deliver food to seniors. And so we are working with the state on that, and it's going to enable us to expand just beyond the public housing complexes to all areas of the city, including District 8. I know my staff talked to you about this morning.
All right. I wanted to make sure that we are all on the same page as to what was going on, because there are other people there as well. The Simmons Center is also distributing food. I believe they're doing it on a draft basis. And a couple of other organizations have gotten together and decided to distribute food. And it doesn't sound like to me that it's all being coordinated so that we're reaching the populations that we want to reach.
We'll work with every one of your offices to try to get as much food out to as many people, as many communities as we can. There's obviously huge challenges. Food insecurity has emerged as a major issue as a result of this pandemic, and we've actually taken the lead, Julia Burrows in my office, to try to bring together as many different efforts as we can, and doing pretty well. But obviously, there's more demand and more need out there than we're able to supply, but we continue to work at it. The FEMA program with the state is probably the best hope we have to go to scale, because of the fact that the federal government is willing to reimburse such a significant part of the cost.
So may I make a suggestion? What I could do is to work with the mayor's office and with Julia Barrows, who's done an excellent job, and see how we can expand this out to those districts in District 8, but we'll also pull all of the other council members and then go from there. Does that sound like a reasonable approach?
Sounds like a reasonable approach. And on top of the food, the actual program itself, when we have a program like that, that's only delivering to a certain segment, if the citizens aren't informed as to what's going on, people feel left out, people feel like they're being ignored. So had the community known that we were only delivering to those projects managed by SHRA, it may have alleviated a lot of angst. And whatever program we decide to move forward with, I think it's critical that we let the public know exactly the parameters of the program and who's getting food and who's not getting food and why not. So the distribution of information ranks right up there with the delivery of the food in my estimation.
And then I also want to add that, the Meals on Wheels program that the city, the county, and all the other jurisdictions is also continuing to deliver food. So there has been additional distributions through Meals on Wheels, but we will follow up and coordinate with all of the council's office as well as the mayor's office.
Okay. So did the attorney have a chance to answer the question?
Yeah. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Hi, so this is Brad Nakano, the attorney for the Housing Authority. So there is nothing with respect to, sorry, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. There's nothing with respect to the Housing Authority rules or laws that would prohibit a specific member from putting something on the agenda for a meeting. However, if the council or the board here feels the need to have a discussion to make a determination on whether to put it on the next coming agenda, then that decision here in this forum would have to be done by a 2/3 vote. If you want to discuss it.
Okay. Here's the bottom line. I'll work it out with Councilmember Warren. If it's that important if he thinks it's that important to have it heard next week, I would ask for a continuance next week to the week after, which is what I would ask as a courtesy from my colleagues. If that's important to the council member to at least have that chance as opposed to wait a week, I'm not going to argue about it. Member wants to have any item heard, hear the item next week. I will ask for a continuance, and I would hope and frankly expect that my colleagues would respect that. But if it's a matter of comedy, you want to have the item heard next week, I'm happy to do that.
I would like to have it heard, and I would just suggest that maybe you, if you could find time to call the pastor and talk to him about what's going on over there, so we have a reference point.
I talked to the pastor. I'm happy to call him again. Sure.
Okay, so I respectfully request that it's heard next week.
I want to make sure I understand what the attorney said. If we wanted to discuss that, we would have to have a 2/3 vote.
Yes, and the reason is because at this point, the board, the council would be discussing and making decisions on something that has not been agendized on this current meeting.
Yeah.
So any business discussions outside of what's on the agenda, as you guys are likely aware, per the Brown Act, are prohibited.
But the question was, can we put something on the agenda for next week?
Yes, you can, but if you want to have a discussion here in this forum,
right,
amongst yourselves, that would require a 2/3 vote.
What you're saying, any council can ask to have an item placed on the agenda for the following week.
Yes.
That's what I hear you saying. Okay, thank you.
Point of order.
Steve?
I just want to remind people that we're not currently sitting as the city council. We're currently sitting as the housing authority, which is why Howard is not here and Susanna is not here. And I think that item is a city council item, not a housing authority item, so we can't act on that in this venue.
It is a
Just-
city
just to be
council
clear.
item. I will work with the city manager out of comity. A member wants something heard with greater urgency next week. I will make sure that it is on the calendar. I will request a continuance of a week because that will then match up with our finance plan for rehousing. It'll make more sense. In the meantime, I will happily call the pastor and
Hey, Mayor, I put my hand up like a long time ago. Can I
What?
say something about this item, please, before we walk ourselves off of a cliff? I put myself in. I know we're on Zoom, so sometimes it's hard to see who's in line there. But you know, I tried to get myself in line so that I
go
could.
ahead. Angela.
So first of all, I don't think that this is a city issue. I think that it is an SHRA issue, but maybe we should just ask Lachelle. She's on the call. Lachelle, isn't SHRA the head of the project? Would this be an SHRA item, wouldn't it? I mean, I think even before when we heard it and voted on it, it was as SHRA. And I know that it has since been designated SHRA. So I appreciate Steve's point, but I don't think that's accurate. I actually think this, whatever day we choose is whatever day we choose, but I'm pretty sure the venue is SHRA. Lachelle?
It was designated to SHRA, and all of the funding for the project in terms of getting that going was given to SHRA as the authority to carry out the project.
Right, because she's the one who presented it to us last time. So, and in terms of it being on the agenda, I mean, I think we're still on the item that is around COVID. So I don't know. On that point, it makes sense to me, and it sounds like the mayor's saying it's okay to bring it back next week. And my hope is that between now and then, the mayor and Alan will have more dialogue and maybe move farther down, you know, their road with their conversation too. And then maybe things will be different by Tuesday. I mean, my feelings on this to my colleagues is that we went a long way on this project, and we're all council members. You know how hard it is to have one of these projects in your district. You know, I mean, every one of us has gone out and had community meetings where we've tried really hard to do things for this population. And Alan has done this, and he's asking to move it forward. And if any one of you were doing that, I would stand with you too. And so I just think these are really hard projects, and we've already spent so much money on it. And then even beyond that, I have the same concern that I had last week, which is I think you all got the same letter that I got from the transition age youth group that said, and it's all of the people that are in that provider group that said, we have a list of young people, young adults who are waiting to get into those units. And what I hear Lachelle saying is that she could have those young people in those units by the first week of May. So before May 5th, we could be housing young people. And I know the mayor wants to use the resources wisely, and I'm all for that. And I think there's a broader conversation to be had, but truth be told, the housing program that he's talking about with the hotel units is first of all being led by the county, not us. And I'm not sure I'm convinced that we would take on the rapid rehousing. The county is putting them in hotels. I don't know why the county wouldn't be responsible for the rapid rehousing. And second of all, you're talking about 900 people, but really there are 32 in that program right now. So I don't think the two are mutually exclusive. If they only have 100 people or so in that program by the time we're done with this, I don't think it'll be as hard for us to partner with the county and look at other resources like the voucher program. But having the program in Allen's district open is only going to give us one more location that we might be able to send people. Also, the program for the hotel vouchers is very limiting because it has to be funded by the COVID dollars. So my understanding is that their target demographic is older people that are homeless, or people that have one of the pre-existing conditions that makes you at risk for COVID. That's not necessarily going to be transition age youth. In fact, I understood them to be looking at people 65 and older, or with some type of lung heart issue, just like we had looked at before, which is part of why they're having so much trouble getting people into hotels, because it's not a blanket order where you can just get anybody who's homeless and put them in the hotels. So Mayor, I hear you, and I want to do that too, but I don't think we're going to be limited. And I think holding back on the District 2 project is just going to reduce the amount of inventory that you have on the other end for rehousing people. we've come so far. We directed staff at your request, Mayor, back in January or February to have staff expedite this so that we could meet the governor's challenge, and they've done that. And then we slammed on the brakes 2 inches before the finish line with a list of people ready to go into those units. I know it's about the money and not about the units, because I know you want the units too. But I just think we have committed so much to this point. We've already made a big promise. The council member has held multiple meetings in the community. The pastor is ready to go. I don't know why we wouldn't just see it through, especially when the alternate, which is spending the money to rehouse people in a county program that we're looking at as 900 people, that is currently 32 people, and doesn't include transition age youth unless they're sick. Those two things don't seem mutually exclusive to me. I feel like we're going to be able to do both just fine. I also feel like this council has voted repeatedly to support this project at Grove, and that we should see it through, just like we should see through the things in District 5 and 8 and 1 and 6 and everybody else that's brought a project forward and voted on it to the best of our ability, especially with this housing. So, you know, I'm glad that you guys agree to have it next week. It sounds like you don't agree on what happens next week, but maybe between now and Tuesday, you guys can work through that, or some of us can help in some way. It is a very good project led by both of you, and the city of Sacramento will be better when it's implemented.
Thank you. Who's next? Sorry, I'm just looking at my.
Alan's hand is up too, still, I think.
Okay, I'm sorry. I just want to make sure that I get to Jeff Harris was next, and then you, Alan.
And I'm sorry, this is legal counsel again. I just wanted to remind everybody that we're still on the last item of the agenda, and you know, just as a reminder, this topic about Grove and all the homeless activity that we have going on has not been agendized. I just want to point that out to everybody with respect to our Brown Act concerns.
Okay, well, we understand. We promise not to go too much farther, Mr. Counsel.
Yep.
Okay, but let's hear from Jeff to go a little farther. Go ahead.
So it's gotten a little confusing, Mayor. If this is indeed a housing authority item, there is no planned meeting for the housing authority to hear it next week. So we could only hear it at council. Therefore, it seems to me it becomes a council issue. To Larry's question, it states clearly in the council directives that the mayor and the manager set the agenda. I mean, of course, you respond to council members' requests, but it is you and Howard who set the agenda for the city council. So if we hear this at city council, that would be you know, responding to Alan's request for it to be heard at council. But there's a lot of obfuscation here, or at least it seems really cloudy to me. If we're calling this a housing authority issue, it should be heard at the housing authority, and there is no planned meeting next week.
Okay, so just to be clear, you're right. Next week is a city council meeting. The charter is clear that the manager and the mayor are able to put things on the agenda. I do not want this to be decided next Tuesday because Lachelle and the agency are coming back on the 5th of May to the city council to help present a rapid rehousing finance plan. However, as a courtesy to a colleague who has asked to have an item heard on a specific date, I'm willing to put it on the agenda for April the 20th. I would ask, and I'll talk to the council member in between, that we take an extra week, even if it's heard next week, to make a decision. My desired vote on the project when it comes up for a vote is a yes vote. Because yes, I have been pushing this project as hard as the council member. I'm just trying to do my fiduciary duty as the mayor to say, if you have this amount of money and you have multiple obligations and opportunities, yes, Angelique, it's 32 people in those motels now. The number needs to get much higher. I think it will get significantly higher. It should get into the hundreds. There's 990 beds that have been set aside. I am pushing every day, and it's not just the county, by the way, it's the city and the county working together. We've put money into this project, so it's not just the county. That's incorrect. And so these are homeless people too, including transition age youth. And if there are 1,000 of them in the end, or even 500 here, and over here we've got 24 units for one very worthy and good project for transition age youth, and there's $5.8 million at issue, I think it is reasonable to at least have a discussion about how we help the most number of people with that money. That's all that it is. So I could say today, no, May 5th, but I'm going to say April 28th to at least begin the discussion. Anybody's welcome to make a motion. My ask will be that it simply be continued one more week, which I hope I would get that courtesy. And then it can be heard on the 28th. I'll talk to the pastor, I'll talk to Alan, and we will endeavor, as you suggest, Councilmember Ashby, to actually be able to do it all. Because that's exactly what I want to do. But I just want to do it with all the information and the numbers in front of us. And I don't think that's unreasonable. Who's next? Alan?
Thank you, sir. Just as we go back a couple of steps, to be clear, this project was brought to me by the mayor's office and SHRA.
Yes.
So this was something that it was talked to me. I said, listen, I agree. I will help. I will coordinate community meetings. There was a rush to do it because we were going to try to do it without community meetings. Spoke to Lachelle Dozier. I said, Lachelle, we have to respect the community. So we did that. We went through the process. And since then, I've had discussions with the pastor. I live in the community, so I see what goes on every day. I've been to the church. The pastor then called me again, says, Alan, we got people still sleeping in our church right now. So they've opened up their church, and maybe I misunderstood, but I know that there are priorities that the city and the mayor and the city manager want to have. However, I've heard it stated that we want to see how we can help the most people, with the least amount of money. Well, I've very rarely seen that take place here at City Hall. Efficiency, very rarely. We make decisions based on issues at the time, and then we go forward. We don't take steps backwards and then start talking about how we can do something different. Now, I want to hear it next week. If the council decides that they don't want to do the project, then listen, that's fine. Okay, that's politics, and it is what it is. And if there's something better that they want to do with the money, but just know that this sets precedent for things in the future. And, there are going to be occasions when we don't agree. Most of the time we do, but there will be occasions when we don't agree. And this just happens to be one of them for me. And the more information I get, the more disagreeable I am on this particular item. So that's my piece.
Very good. Okay, who else had a comment? All right. Happy to have it heard next week, as I said, as a courtesy to any colleague, and we'll have that discussion. I'll talk to Lachelle and Dozier and Councilmember Warren and the city manager in the meantime, and we'll all try to get to the common goal here.
I just wanted to also remind the council that even though there may not be a meeting for the Housing Authority, we did reserve the right to bring items forward jointly at a city council meeting and be heard as the Housing Authority. So if we work together with Howard, I'm sure that we can work that out.
Okay. Very good. This was a discussion item, and it was a heck of a discussion. So there. Is there anything else? Do we have any public comments, Madam Clerk?
I have no public comment for matters not on the agenda.
Okay, then that's the last item on the agenda. Are there any council comments on housing in particular?
Yes, Mayor.
Yes, please, Steve.
Thank you. I just wanted to thank the agency staff for all their hard work. We were awarded funds on, I think, 4 projects just in the past week, and they were very significant affordable housing projects. I'll talk about the 2 in my district. One is Lavender Courtyard, which has been a very long, arduous process to get it approved and funded. And I think we've been working on that for over 6 years. So that received final funding and should break ground later this year. 1717S, which was a project brought to us originally by Ali Yousefi and CADA for workforce housing. We've also been similarly struggling to get the funding put together for that on what was a contaminated site that had to be remediated. And that also received its final funding for construction and should break ground later this year. I believe the agency got funding for a project in District 3 and in District 2 as well. And so I just want to thank Lachelle, particularly Christine, and all of the hard work she's done for seeing these projects through.
Yeah, those are great signature projects. So thank you again to the agency. That's great. Anything else? All right, if nothing else, we'll reconvene as a city council then at 5 o'clock. If there's nothing further to come before the Housing Authority, we will stand in adjournment. Thank you, everybody.